Hey guys, working on a 2017 Honda Accord, and we have a pretty good oil leak going on right here. So, we're gonna do our valve covers. Let's get started. Start removing these. Next, we're gonna pull this off. Cool. Now with that exposed, we got to start taking everything that is connected to the valve cover. So, pull this up. Okay. Pull that out. Okay. That's out. That's out. Good. I'm gonna start disconnecting all these here. That's 3. And last one here is 4. That out. Okay, so you want to disconnect this. It's a little tough. I'm gonna squeeze this trigger and kind of wobble it and make it come out. Disconnects to the throttle body right down in here. There you go, and she's out. Okay, fishing all this through. That's out. And that's out. Okay. With all those out the way, there's one more connector down here, but we're going to worry about that a little bit later. There's this line here. Hose right here. Just going to pinch this, pull it back. And she's not coming out easy either. A little bit of WD-40 always helps loosen these up. Now, because because this hose is kind of in a sneaky spot, I like to wrap tape, this bright tape, around the hose, so when we put this stuff back together, we don't forget that this hose fitting here has to come back. We're gonna remove this too together, and there you go. And she came out. Doubt we'll forget this one, so I don't need to label this one. This just pulls out. Detach it from here, and there. This comes out. All right. We're going to disconnect this oxygen sensor right here. You just squeeze this release tab. Put that to the side, this out, this hose out, this harness is out our way. There's this one hook down here that we need to remove. Work with me here. There she go. She's out. Alright, all these are out now. Okay, with everything else disconnected from the valve cover, it's time to start pulling up our ignition coils. I already removed these 3, they're all 10 mils. I'm going to pop this up. We're going to shimmy. These ain't never been out. That's dry, that's good to see. Ooh, that's dry. Dry, and these are all dry. Now that we have everything out, I'm gonna remove all these 10 mils that go all around here. Okay, coils out, connectors, harnesses, hoses. Now we can start pulling this up, and gonna kind of work it up nice and gently. Try to just break the seal. And she's coming out. So Just like that. Trying to be as even as possible. And she's up. And she's out.
Really cool.
Before we start doing anything over here, we're gonna prep our new gasket, and then we'll clean all this stuff up, and I'll show you where to apply a little bit of extra Permatex in certain areas. Let's jump over to the valve cover. Spray around here. Just go around and wipe off the surface and get our gasket prepared. Using the Mahle gasket, I'll put the I'll put the part number in the description. This gasket right here does not have the removable ones, so I'll show you what I'll do to kind of increase the life of these gaskets. And there is a gasket here that we're going to replace. Pull this little square up, and we're going to put a new gasket in here as well. So before we forget anything, we're going to install this first. And this goes right there. Good. Go down here somewhere. There we go, that looks right. And start fishing her around. Set the surface off camera. You should, most of the time, use a plastic scrape tool. I have a non-marring scrape tool. But basically, you come through here, you scrape off all that old debris, all that old oil, old gasket and dirt, grime, all that there. Do your very best to get in these corners here. These are where a lot of people can end up getting leaks at because they don't clean up these corners well. So make sure you just clean up those corners. Now, before we get ready to put the gasket on, we're gonna want to put some gasket maker. I'm using this stuff because it's fast. I like, oh, 1 minute. Oh wow, 1 minute. Okay. I like this stuff because it hardens quickly. But if you see where the block meets, you see where these cuts are, here, there's another one on this side over here. Pull that little piece off right here, and then there's another where the timing chain meets the block. So we're gonna put some gasket maker there as well. So you're going to, ooh, holy crap, that was a lot. Some right there, little blotches here, right here, and there's another piece right there. Good. Now, since these seals aren't replaceable, I'll show you one thing I like to do real fast to kind of help the longevity of the gasket. I like to spread very, very thin coat of this stuff all the way around. Now that I have a little bit, very, very thin coat around the whole gasket itself, since these seals aren't replaceable, we want these to last as long as possible. I'm gonna get a little bit of gasket maker in here and spread her around, because if these ever leak again, we're gonna have to replace the entire valve cover. So it's a good idea right now, while we can, put a little bit of put a little bit of gasket maker around these spark plug tube seals to ensure that we don't have a leak. So even if this gasket starts to fall apart a little bit, the gasket maker should still hold. We're going to loop this over. We're going to keep our eyes on the gasket as we're reinstalling it. We don't want anything to roll or come out. Now, as we come here, there we go. And I'm just going to run my hand underneath of this the whole way. And there's another seal. Hold on. There's a square in here. We don't want to. Okay, I'm looking at it. There's a square in here. We don't want that to fall out. So before we lay this all the way down, just run your hand all the way through, and we want to feel that gasket 100% of the way. And we ensure nothing has rolled. Good. And then the last little square up in here, I still feel the gasket, yes. So now we're gonna gently push that down. I'm going to pre-install all the bolts. Not gonna torque them. If you just put a bolt in and torque it, you're gonna mess up the sealing. We're gonna basically just finger tight all the valve cover bolts, then we'll torque them once all the bolts are in place. Don't know if I mentioned, the only bolt that's different that has this nub right here is in this top right hand corner. So you just make sure you know that this goes here. Yeah. Okay, let's get the torque wrench out and we'll be done. Alright, so the torque spec for this is about 5 foot-pounds. Recommend getting yourself a 1/4 inch torque wrench. That's a very small setting. Most torque wrenches come in inch pounds. Every 12 inch pounds is 1 foot-pound, so 12 times 5 is like 60. That's 60 foot-pounds. I mean, that's 60 inch pounds, 5 foot-pounds. Let's get started. You start inside, work your way out. So we'll come here first. I'm gonna do a second pass over all of them. I like to just do a second pass, make sure everything's good and where it needs to be, and then we'll start putting everything in piece by piece. As I'm installing the ignition coils, it's good to get a little bit of dielectric grease and come in here. And you don't need a lot, but just get some in the boot. Helps with easier removal, and it reduces the resistance between the spark plug and the ignition coil. So a little bit of silicone in here, and we're gonna put it in, and you should hear a nice pop, just like that. Make sure you reattach this hose, don't forget about it. These are all 10 mils here. Now we're going to drop this over top. If you didn't break your things, you can reattach these little clips here. It's not gonna hurt anything. Now we're gonna here, we're gonna put a 10 mil back in there. I'm gonna lay this over. It snaps into place just like that. I should have actually put these back in before I did that, but oh well. Here, here, here. Again, notice we got 3 harnesses here. We're gonna tuck it underneath. This looks like a brake line or something. We're gonna put it underneath it here. Feed it through. Feed it through. This ring right here, you will kind of bend it in a little bit. Don't kill it, but it slides in there like that. This clip here goes right down here. That's it. Nice good clicks to the gear. This is the throttle body harness. Final overview, and another little trick to make sure you got your gaskets in. You see these tabs, you want them to stay flat, but we're all in here. Our O2 sensor is back in. We have all these back in, clipped all in. This snapped back in, this hose back in, this hose down here back in. Like I said, if you have the clip still, you can put them back in. We have this clip in, and the throttle body clip all the way back there. You're gonna hear it snap when it goes in. You spray it with a little bit of WD-40, it can help with that. Now we are going to get this bad boy back in, and we're gonna reinstall these. This is the last part. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this looks like a high pressure fuel pump. This is probably a sound deadener because high pressure fuel pumps tick really loud. So if you don't put this back on, you may hear louder ticking in your car. But got the little grommets here. They line up here and here. I'm just gonna little bit, and then kind of drop it in place like that. And put these vacuum lines back in, just like that. And remember, there's a little grommet that this will sit in. It's in place. I'm gonna start her up. And just like that, thanks for watching, you guys. Till next time, out, bye. And remember to always check the leaks.